Hallelujah. Tumerudi tena, tuendelee. Whenever I come to this church, God helps me a lot. I just talk. I don't preach a lot. Because here we want information. We have come a long way. We've shown us the power of the covenant. We've shown us how God himself respects the covenant. And how those we call our fathers were covenant people. Now we want to go a notch higher and see something from the same scriptures. Now we are going to Deuteronomy chapter 12, because there are things I want to pinpoint, and I want to be very much contemporary, that is, to talk on local basis, so that we can have an understanding of the things we're trying to talk about. When we mention tribes and all that, it's not to demean, but to take an example so that we can get the truth, how it works. Is that okay? Now, Deuteronomy, beginning from chapter 12, verse 1. Deuteronomy, beginning from chapter 12, verse 1, we are talking about the practicality of the covenant. The practicality of the covenant. He said, these are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land which the Lord of your God of your fathers give you to possess it, all the days that you shall live upon the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places. Look at that. You shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which you shall possess served their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree. And you shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire. And you shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. Now, from this passage, if you read other places like Deuteronomy, same Deuteronomy chapter 20, you will see that every covenant has words, has a place, and has a priest. Every covenant has the words of the covenant. You see, Moses said, this is the words of the covenant. So every covenant has words of the covenant and has a place, geographical place, and has a priest. Now, God commissioning his people, they were to be sensitive to those places. For instance, let's begin with a place. Then we will go to the priest and the words. The place. places, they differ from any other place. Every place is distinct and unique. Every place is distinct and unique. That is why every town is distinct and unique. There is no town on the face of the earth that is like the other. No, they may have similarities, but they are distinct and unique. I will say every place has got its own fingerprints. Every place has got its own fingerprints. The fingerprints of the place determines the approach. The fingerprints of the place determines the approach. When we were doing church planting those days, they used to tell us, get the key to that town. The key to that town. In other words, the hot spot of that town. Because every place is unique and every place has its own fingerprints. Because places, although designed by God as it were, but it has its own founders. And when they founded the place, they had to enter into a covenant with the gods or with God to determine the identity and uniqueness of the place. Are we together? Are we moving together? And that is why these people were told, you must destroy what the others did. Destroy what the others did so that you can be able to live in that place. For instance, Canaan had its own inhabitants. And from the investigations that the people got, they said, that land, they eat the inhabitants. That's what they said. And those who are of faith said, okay, since it eats the inhabitant, let's go in at once. Those people have become meat unto us. You can see the similarity. The land eats its inhabitants, and Joshua and Caleb says, let's go in at once because they have become meat unto us. We will eat them. The land will not eat us, we will eat them. Now, if you look at that, it is not the figure, it's not the straight talk, it is figurative. Because there is no land on the earth that eats its own people, as it were. And you can't eat the other people. Because that was the identity of the place. Are we getting what I'm saying? That identity was determined by the covenant. And therefore, the people who live in a place, they live as per the dictates of the place. That's why they say, change a man's environment and you change him. Why? Because the environment has more power to change an individual. Somebody hearing what I'm saying? Am I getting complicated? I will hate to be complicated. And these places, because of their uniqueness, there are outside signs that shows how the place looks like. There are outside signs that shows how the place looks like. And therefore, a people that lives in a particular community, there is a particular place where they are controlled from. For instance, in Kalenjin land, they are controlled from Nandi Hills. Nandi Hills is the heart of all Kalenjin land. Why? It is where the grave of Samoe is. And anyone that wants to become anything must be able to visit Nandi Hills and do or revoke or do something to the effect of the covenant. Somebody hearing what I'm saying? What we call a home, so to say, although our home could be somewhere else, but where we grew up in Kitale. Kitale was started in 1905. And it was a major economical hub. It was white settlers' land. And when the local community took over, that town became a Sabaot town, so they call it Kitale. Kitale from their original language means thorns. It is a thorny town. And thorns do not just work. Thorns are there to choke the seed. And so the characteristic of my town is you can enter that place and become so powerful very quickly. And then before long, you just disappear. You just disappear. No one thinks you are around. It is as if you are dead, but you are just there. You're just there. It finishes you completely. It is so thorny. So thorny. No one has ever become any force in that town without an understanding. Although the same town has produced great men, but they became great outside that town. Outside that town, not in that town. Not in that town. One of the greatest evangelists we ever had in this nation was Albert Andika. He was a great evangelist. Great evangelist. And he moved in this nation. He was living in Nairobi then. He moved in this nation, evangelizing everywhere. And I do remember those days as a sinner, I could attend his meetings as an evangelist. Diverse miracles. That man is not dead. That man landed in Kitale and decided this is where I should be. He became so fiery in that town, and eventually he is there. The only man I saw who puts a crusade of 30 days and he preaches every day. Every day for 30 days. And it is hot every day. He still has the strength to preach for 30 days. He's in that town. No one knows he exists. He's there. In Kitale. In Kitale. Do you understand how it goes? Nyatuka sprang up from Kitale. Jefferson Nyatuka. He was a teacher and a preacher at the same time. I remember I interpreted for him in most of his meetings those days. But he was a nobody. He was actually giving up from that thing. He lived in one room. In one room. So out of frustration, he moved out of that place and he became what he is. We have this Nyamima. Nyamima was a pastor in Kitale. Actually, the girl, Mercy, was born in Kitale. There were nobodies. They were totally nobodies. Bishop Karanja of Victory Churches, he was there. Talk of Wanyonyi. Wanyonyi was classic, great teacher, expository teacher. The only man who could preach in 45 minutes, he preaches the whole book of Timothy. And you're like, what? He is not dead. He is there, but he's a nobody. Yes. He only has structures. It's a thorny place. The thorny place. Thorny place. So you rise and the thorns brings you where you belong. Unakuwa tu mtu my friend. Watu wamehubiri. I was in that town. A great preacher. But I was not known until I get out of the town. To be made outside there. So every town has got its own identity, that does not mean that town cannot change. No, it can be changed. It can be changed. It can be changed. Where is your man with ATG? Very famous, suddenly quiet. Very famous, suddenly silent. He's still there. Even the airport church. And many others. You can mention from place. If somebody tells you this is so and so and this is what they did, you are like, okay, is it fiction or something? Is it fiction? Okay, talk of Nelson Wairimu. Where did he begin from? Kitale. Talk of this man with JCC. Where did he begin from? Kitale. But when they were there, who were they? Nothing. If you move closer to another place, thinking I'm making sense, Kakamega. Kakamega is not the original name of Kakamega. The original name is Shieyue. Shieyue means kifagio. Kifagio. It sweeps its own people. And it was called so because the owners knew after you have harvested from your farm, you go to the city, and then girls will sweep you. All of your money, you will go back home broke. It was founded on immorality. Shieyue. Talk of all those guys there, their challenge is what? Ufagio. Morality. So, places have significance. Every place has significance. And that place lives to fulfill its own significance. Kisumu, its name is not Kisumu, it's Port. Port who? Port Victoria. Yes, Victoria. A lady's name. That's why Kisumu is a female town. It's a female town. And the best thing there, it is display of the female might. Display. There is music every day. Every day, flesh, female town. So every place has got its own significance. Its own significance. Come at the time of the gospel, when the gospel started in Mombasa, so to say, it came, and for it to go inland, it went to Kambani. The Kambas became the custodian of the gospel. Until today, the best theological schools are in Ukambani. The best theological schools are in Ukambani. And most preachers, they are from there, so to say. And also, where there is more grace, there's more sin. Thika, it is Madiko, burial place. Madiko, Thika, Madiko, burial place. And you go everywhere, and then you land finally in Thika, where you'll be buried. It's a graveyard, so to say. So these things seems to be nothing more important. But it was given the names of the place. It was built in a particular style because of what it stands for. Because of what it stands for. That is why, where we have just read, it says, destroy those places and the names therefore. You may not change the name per se, but you can spiritually manipulate the name to mean something else. Are you hearing what I'm saying here? So places stands for something. Places stands for something. It is not just a matter of buying land or not a matter of just relocating to live in a place. You have to know what you are engaging into. You have to understand what you are engaging into, because of the covenants that established the places. You will know this. Every place is given a name by a particular ceremony. Every place is given a name by a particular ceremony, and there is the beginner of that place. The beginner of that place, or the founder of that place, becomes automatically the priest of the place. The beginner or the founder becomes automatically the priest of the place. And so they pass on priesthood as per their time. Where do these priests draw authority? From the covenant of the place. They draw authority from the covenant of the place. Tomorrow I'll be teaching on something very special. It says, these people died because they did not know the way of the God of the land. The God of the land. So every place has got its own God, and it has got its own priesthood. Priest is the mediator between the covenant and the God. Either the Bible God or the other God. Either the Bible God or the other God. These places can sometimes be changed as the priesthood change. They can shift a place to another place as the priesthood changes. For instance, I am mentioning to you places I'm too much familiar that I've done my work about. For instance, Mumias, our founder, so to say, was Nabongo Mumia. And when this guy died, he was buried in a place called Emakunda, where he was buried. And in that place it is reported that there was a python that used to take care of his grave, because he was the owner of Mumias town. You're getting that? His clan were meant to take free things from those who sell in that town until recently, when it was changed. They were meant to take free things. Now, these guys, they came in place and realized, they said, we were the rulers. And the rulership has been taken away from us because we neglected the covenant. After Mumia, there have not been another great leader from that region, yet that guy ruled as far as Nakuru. So the people said, well, we will have to do something about it. So the community gathered and said, we have left this old man in this place for a long time. We want to shift him and take him to a more comfortable place, because we have left him near the border of other people. We want to come inside in a comfortable place. And it was on the news. You can remember, they moved from Mumias town to a place called Mayoni, and they built a shrine where the python was relocated, and it has been built a good house. It's a good museum. You can go and see the python. Yes. And now, does it sound like politics?
No. This is spiritual, my friend.
Now, among the clans of the Mumias, there was a particular clan which moved away because of land and went to Luo Nyanza. And that happens to be Raila's clan. They still have the same name with the people who have who are in this place. So he had to pay obeisance to the Nabongo to have regional control over the people. You hear that? So that is the place. That is the place. Now, for you to be able to do anything significant, then an understanding of the place is paramount. Why? Because you have to combat the forces of the place. You get me now? You understand what I'm talking about? So, okay. In Webuye, there is the falls. The Webuye Falls. At that very falls, the water passes this side and it passes this side. In the middle is land where there is falls. Webuye Falls. So the water passes this side, and then it meets there. In the middle here, there is land. And that land has very beautiful bananas. Whoever plants them, you don't know. In that land, there are animals. Kama mbuzi hivi. The owner, you don't know. It's not something in the spirit. It's something... It's something you go there and see. Nobody will stop you. You go there and see. Now, for the Kikuyu people to succeed in that very land economically, they had to go to that very place and plant a mugumo tree. You know what a mugumo tree means to you? It's a sacred tree. It's not just a tree, it's a sacred tree, the mugumo tree. It's a very sacred tree. Whatever happens to mugumo tree means something to the community. You're getting that? In other words, we are acknowledging that you are there. We are acknowledging that you have been put there by the Tachoni people, the original owners. But now, this is our obeisance and sacrifice on the mugumo tree. So they became the owners of business while the others became the servants of the owners of the business. You're getting what I'm saying? So when I went to plant a church there and I realized that I've attracted my people, so to say my people, but these my people, though intelligent, but they had nothing. I remember one manager of a sugar company, they were literally sleeping hungry. Food, yatumbo, manager. You know what it means? And the wife is a teacher. You know what it means? Sleep hungry completely. Literally sleeping hungry. He's a manager, he has a shop, a glass shop, and the wife is a teacher. They were sleeping hungry. So I had to go to that very place, curse the tree, and anoint the place and decree and reverse the words of the covenant so that it can have effect on my people. In a short while, I had the best people. You get what I'm saying? Covenants are real. They are real. They are real. There are people you can't uproot them from a particular place because they are there by covenant. You can try, but you can't get them away. They are there by covenant. Tumeelewana? So, that is the place. And then, it is now up to you to realize that where I am inhabiting, what is the covenant about? Where I am entering, the building I'm entering in, what is the covenant all about? How did it come to be? What is it supposed to be? What is it supposed to be? So that you can be able to influence or break the power on that place. Okay. Every covenant has a priest. A priest can be a tribe. A priest can be a clan. A priest can be a particular family. Every covenant has priesthood. A priest can be a clan or a tribe or a particular family. Like in the Bible time, there was the family of Levi. They were the priests of the covenant. So anything to do with the priesthood had to come from Levitical lineage. It had to come through Levitical lineage. But now God was teaching and at the same time doing something. The high priest Jesus had to come from outside Levitical lineage. So there was to be a stop to the Levitical lineage so that it can come from the tribe of Judah, of whom there was nothing about priesthood which was spoken, the Bible says. You're getting that? So this does not have to be forever. It doesn't have to be forever. And that's why you find in a family, people from a particular home, they rule the others. They rule the others. The others just become useless people. But the others from a particular home, they are the rulers. They wield power that naturally they don't have. They don't have it academically, they don't have it economically, but it just seems they are the ones ruling. You know what I'm talking about? Can you identify with it? So you wonder, are we less humans that everything has to come via this thing? It is allegiance to the covenant. It's how faithful they are being to the priesthood of their covenant. How faithful they are being to the priesthood of that covenant. Praise the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I say praise the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, let me continue with you the history of the Luyas and the Luos. Just a little. Just let me continue with you. You know that when the leadership came from Wanga, it came back to Bukusu land. And there were great men like the mysterious Elijah Wanameme, who was both a prophet, so to say, and a political leader, so to say, and a ruler. Wanameme, the one with the Elijah Msambwa. You have heard of Msambwa religion. The leader was Wanameme. He had his place of worship or of prayer on Mount Elgon, where he used to go, and that's why they said there is where Canaan is. And everyone that became anything, whether they were intellectually super or not, they were followers of Elijah Onamembe, including Masinde Muliro. Some will wonder what makes Prezo. You know Prezo? The Adam Levy guy? What makes him so popular is that is his religion. That is his complete religion. And then guys came up like Omalwa, who was a follower of that religion. An ardent follower of that religion. Now, upon his death, you remember when they contested together for the Kenya ticket, he beat Raila. His father was the Ford Kenya chairman, Raila's father, but Wamalwa from this other side went and beat him and took over the Ford Kenya thing. Now, when he died, Wamalwa died, one very significant thing happened. This guy came with cows. Yeah. And he came dressed in a traditional manner. Ngozi na kofia ile na spear. To take back the leadership to Luo Nyanza. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So he appeared just unceremoniously with his spear and every other thing while the others were asleep. And he took it on the other side. The priesthood was taken back. You're hearing what I'm saying? So they are linked together by covenant. Otherwise, they don't like each other. They don't like each other at all. But they are linked together by that kind of covenant. So also, in every world, there is priesthood. There is priesthood. And finally, don't worry, we'll dig. Finally, words of the covenant. Now, apart from places and the priesthood, they are words of the covenant. And the words of the covenant is what carries the power of the covenant. Power is in words. That is why in Deuteronomy Moses had to repeat the words of the covenant to Israelites so that they don't forget the words of the covenant. These words of the covenant, it is what becomes the philosophy of the priesthood. Words of the covenant is what becomes the philosophy of the priesthood. And the philosophy of the priesthood is what shapes the behavior of a people. Narudia. Words of the covenant becomes the philosophy of the priesthood. And the philosophy of the priesthood is what shapes the behavior of a people. For example, there was a mighty man, two of them of course, but let me discuss one, who was like a magician or so in the fairy tales of the Luo people. His name was Gormaya, a man you can't understand, that's the meaning. Gormaya is the same word, Agwambo. A man you can't understand, a mysterious person. You're getting this? This man, he really terrorized the Kisi people. Now the Kisi people sat down and say, how can we tame Gormaya? Because he has terrorized our people and they are taking our things from the border. What are we going to do? They tried to kill the man, but he couldn't die. Because his power was in his shadow. And no one knew where his power was. They said, until you spear his shadow is when you can kill him. So, the Kisi people went and sat down and thought, what are we going to do? So they said, well, we understand. These people, they love women. So let's take a girl and give Gormaya. So they gave him a girl who went to investigate, just the same way like Samson and Delilah. And he went to investigate and find out the enmity, to find out the strength of this guy. So she came back and said, I have discovered it is in the shadow. It is where? In the shadow. So you spear the shadow and then you will have finished his strength. And that is how the Kisis came. And when they were fighting, they were looking for the shadow and they speared the shadow and they killed the man Gormaya. But the name was part the words of the covenant. They were supposed to be mysterious people. You get what I'm saying? So that word cannot die. They had to carry it on and on and on. They change names, but to mean the same thing. Same thing. You discover that during their football team, they have to come and do a sacrifice. They are tomboy. They have to surround him, say this and say that, and chant Gor Mahia slogans. Gor Mahia slogans. And when they do that, everyone, unintelligent and not intelligent, they become crazy. Because those words has become philosophy, and that philosophy influences the behavior, your education notwithstanding. Umenielewa sasa? Umenisika. Umenikamata. And the same words, they are words that when they are mentioned at political rallies, they stir the people up because they are not just words. They are words of the covenant and they identify people. They are words of the covenant and they identify people. Come back home here where I come from, you'll find bullfighter. That is as per that fighting of cows. It's not just a fight of cows. People enjoy the fight of cows. No. It stands for something very significant. Very significant. When we have time, we'll discuss it. Very, very significant. And this gentleman, to take control of that place, he had first of all to become a priest by himself owning some cows that fight. You get me? Owning some cows that do what? Fight. You know, according to those with animals, that is something that he should be arrested and charged in court for being cruel to animals. But it's ingrained in the culture of the people. And during that time when people are going to fight, or when those cows are going to fight, the priests or the people are carried on the backs of others. Carried on the backs of others. And say they are going to fight. They are under influence. That's why during the campaign, he's not carried by vehicles. He's carried by a human being. He's like that cow, charged. And at that time, he changes. He's so charged and looks different because it is threatening his priesthood and he has to take over. He has to take over. And when those words are chanted, then it brings the consciousness of the community together. Those words can be changed into songs. The philosophy can be changed into songs. Those who make it study the vocabulary of the people, study their songs, you will know where they are coming from and where they are going from. It is hard work, yet is achievable. May the God of the Bible give you understanding. Amen. Hallelujah. Let God give you understanding. Have you been helped? Au umechanganyikiwa? Usichanganyikiwe, tuko pamoja. The Lord God bless you.